Good morning to one and all. So let us start with our today's topic. Let me share my screen. Okay, hope my screen is visible to you. So we are already with this unit overview of cloud security, in which we have seen the security concerns in traditional IT, then the difference between network security, cloud security, then some challenges in cloud computing in terms of application security, then server security, and network security. Okay, so whatever the challenges that are there, we have studied them, and maybe if you got any new ideas or any new such challenges in from these 3 point of view, that is network, then your server security and application security, you can add them over there also. Whatever I found, that I have listed over there in the notes as well. Okay. So again, we came to the this particular point, that is security reference model, in the last lecture. Okay, so, means there are some sources on the internet where you are finding the reference models in means 2-3 diagrams are available over there. So whatever will be like you are finding good for remembering purpose, that with that you can go with. Okay, so security reference model that we are going to see now. So just go through the diagram. एक minute. If you go through this diagram, what you are finding over here is outer layer, that is the SaaS, software as a service, that particular security boundary you are finding. Then after that you are finding platform as a service, that particular boundary over here, and in inside IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So in software as a service security boundary, whatever you are finding is nothing but the presentation mobility, presentation platform. Okay, then whatever the applications are there, so they that are there in the outer layer, data, metadata, the contents related to that, these are present in the last layer. Then platform as a service, there you are finding the boundary for integration and middleware. Okay, so whatever the integration with your application with the outside world, so that part will come over here. And infrastructure as a service, in that the APIs, application programming interface, then the core connectivity and delivery, abstraction, hardware, the different facilities you are providing for your customers, so those are all will be coming inside, that is infrastructure, into the infrastructure as a service over there. Okay, so this is the reference model for security. The family members are disturbing a lot. Okay, fine. So now we are back. So this is the diagram for the security reference model. So in detail, we are going to see it now. So hope you are done with the diagram, whatever the concepts are that are there. So you have gone through the diagram now. Okay. So if we go through the security, whatever the security that we are requiring is the, or security in our cloud computing platform is very major concern, we can say. Data in the cloud should be stored in encrypted format. So to restrict clients from accessing the shared data directly, proxy and brokerage services should be employed over there. Okay. As we are finding that with the cloud, users will be able to access that data directly, but we have to restrict the direct access over there, and that is why some security measures are being introduced over there. So security planning is there. So before deploying a particular resource to the cloud, one should need to analyze that the several aspects of the resources, such as selecting the resource that needs to move the cloud and analyze its sensitivity to risk. So you first of all study whatever the cloud is there for with you, and check out the points from where the security risks can be introduced. So whatever the loopholes are there that you are going to find out, and on them you have to work. So consider the cloud service models such as IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So these models require customer to be responsible for security at different levels of service. So consider the cloud type to be used such as public, private, community, or hybrid. Okay, so any type of a cloud could be there. So understand the cloud service provider's system about data storage and its transfer into and out of the cloud. So whoever will be the service provider, you understand how the system for the data storage is there, and then how the transfer into and out of the cloud that is been taken place. So that part you have to study. So the risk in the cloud deployment mainly depends upon the service model and the cloud types, which particular service model you are using and the cloud type, isn't it? So understand the security of the cloud first. So security boundaries given over here. So a particular service model defines the boundary between the responsibilities of the service provider and the customers, isn't it? So Cloud Security Alliance, that is your CSA stack model, it will define the boundaries between each service model, and it will show how different functional units relate to each other. So this particular diagram will show the CSA stack model, Cloud Security Alliance stack model. Okay. So for this, some key points are given over here. That is, IaaS is the most basic level of service, with PaaS and SaaS next to the above levels of the services. So moving upward, each of the service inherits the capabilities and security concerns of the model beneath. IaaS will provide the infrastructure, isn't it? As the name suggests. Then PaaS provides the platform development environment, and SaaS will provide the operating environment, whatever the softwares you are using, how you are going to operate them, that particular environment will be given by your SaaS. So IaaS has the least level of integrated functionalities and integrated security, while SaaS has the most, as shown in the diagram. So this model will describe the security boundaries at which cloud service providers' responsibilities end. Cloud service providers' responsibility will end and the customer's responsibility will begin, isn't it? So this is the this particular diagram will show the boundaries over there. Whatever the last boundary is there, up to that the service provider will provide you the security. After that, means out of that particular boundary, it will be the responsibility of the customer how you are going to store your data. So any security mechanism below the security boundary must be built into the system and should be maintained by the customer itself. So although each service model has some security mechanisms, the security needs also depend upon where these services are located in private, public, hybrid, or the community cloud. Okay. So you first have to understand the data security. So we can say that since all the data is transferred using internet, data security is the major concern in case of a cloud. So here are some key mechanisms for protecting the data. That is nothing but the access control. So how the access control will come into this? So for these points, again, after this bit, we will be going through this particular bit once again. But till now, for understand understanding the data security, what is there in the access control? So which particular part of the cloud you are going to provide for which particular customers? So that part will come under access control. Which accesses you are giving to your customers. Okay, one particular customer is there, so he will be responsible for how much data from the cloud. So his related part that will come over there. Then comes auditing. So what is this auditing? So maybe frequently checking of the data or scanning of the data that should be there. So such kind of audits you should provide. Then authentication and authorization. Authentication is what? So like your user IDs, passwords. So proper authentication should be there, or one step or two step authentication should be provided so that you can secure your cloud data properly. So all of the service models should incorporate security mechanisms operating in these areas like authentication, authorization, then access control, auditing, etc. Then next is isolated access to the data. So what is that? So since data stored in the cloud can be accessed from anywhere, we must have a mechanism to isolate that data and protect it from the client's direct access. So you should not provide the direct access to the client. Why so? Because if that client's from the client's side, if any kind of a hijacking will occur, then it will be harmful for your data, isn't it? So you should not give direct access to your clients. So brokered cloud storage access is an approach for isolating the storage in the cloud. So in this approach, two services are created. The first one is the broker with full access to the storage but no access to the client, and proxy with no access to the storage but access to both the client and the broker. So again, working of the brokered cloud storage storage access system will take place in such a way that when the client issues request to access the data, the client data request goes to the external service interface or of the proxy. The proxy forwards the request to the broker. Then the broker requests the data from the cloud storage system. The cloud storage system will return the data to the broker again. Then the broker return the data to the proxy. And finally, the proxy sends the data to the client. So in that way, the particular way should go. Okay. Whether I have included that diagram? Okay. So that diagram will come over there. That how the steps should be carried out. Okay. So I will include that diagram. I think I forgot over there. So these are the steps that you are going to follow, isn't it? So what are those steps? So in the first step, the client data request will go to the external service interface of the proxy. Okay. In the second step, the proxy will forward the request to the broker. Then in the third step, the broker requests the data from the cloud storage system. The cloud storage system return the data to the broker again, which will come into the fourth step. Then in the fifth step, the broker will return the data to the proxy again. And finally, the proxy sends the data to the client. So these are the steps that should be followed, and it is shown in the diagram.
Recording in progress.
Fine. So whatever the important part is there in this is the encryption. So here encryption will help to protect the data from being compromised. So it will protect the data that is being transferred as well as the data stored in the cloud. So although the encryption helps to protect the data from any unauthorized access, it does not prevent the data loss. Just it will be helping you to protect the data from the unauthorized access. But if again the unauthorized access will means by chance if it is been there, then if any kind of a data loss will occur, so it will not be prevented. So that is only the encryption technique over here. Okay. So this is the network or the cloud security model, we can say. Then coming to the next bit, and that is nothing but the cloud security risks. So in that, the first is the abuse and nefarious use of cloud computing. Okay. So abuse and nefarious use of cloud computing. So this threat will refer to the attackers leveraging the resources of cloud computing to the target users or enterprises and other cloud providers. So what type of data that is been hacked by these abuse and means the from these threats? So they will be targeting the users, a particular user who is having some confidential data, or some enterprises, okay, and some other cloud providers. So for example, include launching of the DDoS, that is denial of the service attacks, then phishing, emails, spams. They then get access to the credential database and more. So this threat will arise due to relatively weak registration system which is present in the cloud computing environment. So in cloud computing registration process, if anyone having a valid credential card, they can only register and use the service. So this facilitates anonymity, due to which the spammer, malicious code authors, and the criminals can attack the system. So whatever the registration methods that you are providing, so those should be properly secure. So how these attacks can be included is nothing but the relatively easy to register for the services. Means if you are giving the registration in such a way that it is having only simple steps, then there may be chances of including some such unauthorized or the threats in your cloud. Many cloud services will offer free trials. Means suppose one cloud service provider is there and he has given access like 7 days free trial, 15 days free trial, that kind of a things. Then you should not put your confidential data on such service providers who are giving the free access. Why? Because if any unauthorized or some threat will come into that, they may have access to other data as well, or in that way some kind of a like in this particular thing security will be the major concerns. Then enables hackers to get inside to conduct the attacks like spamming, denial of service, etc. So we can see number of spams in your inbox day by day, isn't it? So if you go through these kind of a spam mails, you may be inviting the hackers or the threats to look into your mailbox. So you should not go with such kind of a spam mails. So if you go through the details, you can say that before some years, like maybe 7-8 years ago, if you go through the Gmail account, you may be finding number of spam mails over there. Your spam folder is giving you maybe daily 5 to 10 mails which are coming under the category spam. This is the case with other mail services also, like your Rediff Mail, Yahoo also. But nowadays you can see that just 1 or 2 mails will be coming into the inbox of spam or spam folder of yours in maybe 1 or 2 months. Just 1 or 2 mails are getting entered in your spam box. So such kind of a securities are like increased in case of a Google also. So the burden on the cloud providers, cloud service providers, is there to protect the users' data over here. So the countermeasures or the remedies that are there are given over here, like organizations should use strong IDs and IPs. Organizations must use the firewalls that can inspect the incoming, outgoing traffic. So proper watches should be included whichever the mails are coming inside the organization or going out from the organization. Maybe some emails with some like the attachment that are coming with you with your mail, that if they are harmful, so that particular entry should be restricted with the firewalls at that end only, isn't it? So otherwise, suppose if you are giving out the confidential data out of your network, so outgoing traffic should also be properly monitored. The integration of cloud services must not be left up to the individuals, groups for the implementation. The organization must choose their storage vendors wisely. The process must be corporate, IT, or security team only. It will be especially important to involve cloud software engineer for problem solving. So if such kind of a problem will arise, proper software engineers or the cloud software engineers should be there at their toes to monitor the problem, to resolve them, etc. An organization must choose their storage vendors wisely. The process must be corporate, IT, or security team only. It will be especially important to involve such kind of engineers. So by implementing stricter registration process and validation process, you will get maybe higher security. So by credit card fraud monitoring and coordination, then detailed introspection of users network traffic. So such malicious users can exploit poorly secured cloud service deployments, free cloud service trials, and fraudulent account signups, which will expose the clouds up cloud computing models such as IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. So you might experience denial of service attacks, email spams, then phishing companions and brute force computing attacks or malicious individuals spoofing identities. So some of the charts display data reported by Amazon Guard Duty, which is the threat detection service that continuously watches for malicious activity and unauthorized behavior. In case of Amazon Guard Duty is been introduced. So the countermeasures are already given over here, that you should provide stricter registration or restrict the registration. So can you suggest some methods for how you can make the registration process strict? Any idea? How it can be the stricter one? How the registration could be the stricter one? Yes, can anybody suggest it? Which type of details you can include to make it stricter one? Can anybody answer for this? Or have you gone through any such methods? See, before some days, I have that example. See, nowadays we are seeing every sector is storing their data on the clouds. Okay, so whenever you go for any kind of a banking transaction, there also you can see such kind of securities will be provided. So every kind of authentication is given by proper usages. Like if you are means before some days I have started one mutual fund. Okay, so for that purpose it has given proper authentication, like definitely my details including my PAN card and all, and also it will be including the details of the nominee, all the details like their PAN card, date of birth and other details, isn't it? So such kind of a then after at the time of transferring the amount also proper authentication is being provided. We are seeing that in the SBI also, State Bank of India, in their internet banking, two-step verification is there. Like in the first step, you are giving the password, your captcha, and after that, the one-time password will come to your registered mobile number through which you can enter in the details of your account. Again, at the time of transferring the amount and all that, there also you are finding the passwords, and also the OTP will go to the registered mobile number. If you go for one wrong attempt also over there with SBI only, I have not found it with other banking accounts which I have. So with SBI, suppose 3 trials are there. If my first attempt get wrong credential, then instantly the notification will come on my mobile that one attempt was failed, isn't it? So it will be giving you the message that attempt to the registration or login was failed. You are having only 2 attempts left, and if it is not from your side, call to this number or so. So that kind of a message will come on, means that type of message is coming on my mobile. So if 2 attempts are been done, again the same message will come to me. 3 attempts get failed, third attempt again get failed, then my account will be blocked. Okay, maybe for next 24 hours or so. Then after proper authentication, I have to activate my account again. This is the procedure with SBI. Again, I am having one more account with IndusInd Bank. Okay, there also 3 attempts are there. They are not providing such kind of a facility about like the SMS, like you are done with 1 attempt, 2 attempt or so. But after 3 attempts, again, they are also blocking the account, and that blocking is not there for 24 hours like SBI, but they are providing the facility that you have to again go through the whole procedure, that you have to enter your your account number, then you have to give your card details, your PIN, your card valid through, and number, that is CVC number, that is back on your card. So all details you have to give, and then only you will be having access to your internet account banking with IndusInd Bank. Okay, so I have these 2 accounts only in these 2 banks only. So I am aware of that process. If you are aware of any other process, you can give that also. So this is just the example of how the registration process can be restricted. So here you are providing, or you are entering the full details over here, so that the entry can be restricted. Then comprehensive monitoring about the traffic, that is whatever the incoming messages are there, outgoing messages are there, that should be properly monitored through your firewalls. Okay, that examples also we can see in the Gmail or Yahoo Mail or so. So suppose you are having the mail with some like fictitious attachment with that email, then maybe that particular mail will go to the spam directly, or the attachment will be removed by your proper means like coding which is there in your firewalls. Okay, so that kind of a monitoring should be there, so that the abuse and nefarious use of the cloud computing can be restricted. Okay, so that kind of a question will come into the exam also. write a note on abuse or nefarious use of the cloud computing. So here, how the means what the abuse and nefarious use is there, so that you have to explain, and then after the countermeasures, how you are going to restrict these all methods to save your data on cloud, so that you have to answer, isn't it? Coming towards the next bit, that is nothing but insecure interfaces and APIs. So insecure interfaces and APIs. So the cloud service provider expose a set of software user interfaces or application programming interfaces, that is nothing but your APIs, that will organizations use to manage and interact with the cloud services. Moreover, customers and third-party users often offer some services to their customers through these interfaces. So an unauthorized user may access and reuse these APIs or passwords. They may transmit the content, then get the authorization and logging capabilities. Then customers may use a set of software interfaces or APIs to interact with cloud services. The provisioning management, then orchestration and monitoring of these cloud services are generally done using the interfaces. So if the weak set of interfaces and APIs are used, this may expose the organizations to various security threats such as anonymous access, reusable tokens, or the passwords, clear text authentication, or transmit of contents, then inflexible access controls or improper authorization, limited monitoring and logging capabilities. So your CPs will expose a set of APIs for the customer apps. These kind of programming interfaces will be given to the customers applications. Here the security will depend on the APIs, that is it must be secure from the authentication to encryption itself. So how the remediations are there, countermeasures are there. So use a good security model of software interfaces. So whatever interface you are using over there, it should introduce proper or good security measures. Then practice strong authentication methods and limit access with encrypted transmission, and use standard API frameworks. So to mitigate these threats, the security model of cloud provider interfaces should be analyzed. Strong authentication and access control should be implemented. Encryption should be used for transmission of the contents, and dependency claim associated with the API should be clearly understood. So this is a very important point, how you're going to save your data by insecure interfaces and APIs. Okay. Do you want to add something over here? Do you have any point over here to add? Any example related to this? Yes, any example from your side? can relate the example which I have given you in the previous point also, abuse and nefarious use. Okay, so these are all about the insecure interfaces and APIs. Coming to the next bit, and that is nothing but the malicious insiders. Malicious insiders, any idea about it? Okay. So this particular threat is well known to most of the organizations. Malicious insiders impact on organization is considerable. Some this kind of malicious insiders may hack the organization's information itself. So given their level of access, they can infiltrate the organizations and the assets and do brand damage. So financial losses and productivity losses may be there. So therefore, it is critical for customers of the cloud services to as to what controls have been provided by cloud providers to detect and defend against the malicious insiders threats. So the malicious insider can access the sensitive data of the system administrator or may even get control over the cloud services at the greater levels with little or no risk of detection. So the malicious insiders may affect an organization through the brand damage, financial impact, and productivity loss as well. So how you can restrict these kind of attacks, malicious attacks? So organizations must understand the practices performed by the cloud providers, how to grant the access to the employees, and set the compliance policies over there. So it is up to the organizations how you're going to provide the access to your employees methods, how the compliances policies can also be restricted. So there should be security and privacy awareness programs to understand, recognize, and report any suspicious activity. So if the users, if they are finding any kind of such kind of say suspicious activity in their network, they should report to the proper person. They should report to the proper person in a very less amount of time itself. Then organizations should automate their processes and use technologies that scan frequently for misconfigured resources and remediate unknown activity in the real time. So yeah, the unknown activities in your network should be properly monitored in this. Just 1 minute. So the malicious insiders threats can be mitigated by specifying the human resources requirements as a part of legal contracts, conducting the comprehensive supplier assessment, providing uh, transparency into overall information security and management practices, as well as the compliance reporting and detecting the security breach notification processes. Many of the students are coming for the attendance only. So after this malicious insider, we are having the point like shared technology issue. So what does it mean? Shared technology. As we are already aware that the data on the cloud, we can make it shared also. So cloud providers deliver their services by sharing the applications or the infrastructure as well. So sometimes the components that make up the infrastructure for the cloud technology as a service uh, offering are not designed to offer strong isolation properties for multi-tenant cloud services. So this may lead to vulnerabilities in the shared technology that can be attacked in almost all delivery models. So how the remedies could be there? So as we are having IaaS services which are delivered in a scalable way by a shared infrastructure, the CPU caches, GPUs that you have to monitor. So probably not designed for multi-tenant architecture, but vulnerable to attacks for the insiders and outsiders too in case of a shared data. So how you are going to give the remedies for this? So the sensitive data should be protected via the encryption technique. So proper decryption method should be introduced. Then data should be segmented and protected according to the sensitivity levels. Then organizations must conduct vulnerability scanning and configuration audits regularly. So this kind of audit should be there with proper intervals over there. Like after proper in proper intervals, you should be able to what we can say, give access to the this kind of users, restrict the entry of the users. Then the next is data loss or leakage. So what does it mean? The data loss threat that will occur in the cloud due to interaction with the risks within the cloud or the architecture characteristics of the cloud application. So unauthorized parties may access the data to delete or alter the records of an organization. So the data loss or leakages have an adverse effect on the business. The brand or the reputation is completely lost and the customers' moral and trust are eroded. So this data loss or leakage may be due to insufficient authentication, authorization and audit controls, inconsistent use of encryption and software keys, then disposal challenges, a data center reliability and disaster recovery. So these are the methods through which the data loss or the leakage can be there. So your data is getting lost. How or whatever the means in which way it will be lost. So some of the ways are given here, like if you are not giving proper authentication methods, if any improper person will get the authenticity or authentication to enter into your cloud, so that will be there. Then audit controls, whatever audits you are providing to the methods over there, if it is having some kind of a lacuna, then also this kind of a data loss or leakage will be there in picture. Then inconsistent use of encryption or the software keys. So suppose whatever the encryption keys you are using, so if it is the same for many days, it is no longer been changed, so there may be the chances of your account getting hacked. Then so after some days, after maybe 15 days or 1 month or so, you should be in the like you should change these all encryption and decryption software keys. Then disposal challenges, then data center reliability, wherever your data center is there, whether it is at the reliable location or from that location, if any kind of a data loss is there, then that should also be properly monitored. And disaster recovery. Disaster, so any kind of a disaster may come, like earthquakes, then your flood problems may be there. So if this kind of a disaster come, will you be able to secure your data in a proper manner? Or if not, if at the or if some kind of disaster occur with at your data center, so are you able to transfer your data in a secure way to some other machines, some other center, data center or service center over there? So there may be chances of losing the data at that particular point as well, at the time of this kind of a disaster recovery. So for that purpose, what kind of remediations you are providing over there? So they are like cloud service providers should provide adequate security controls to the customers as well as specify the backup and retention strategies to them. Fine. Then use strong API access controls. Then encrypt the security of data in transmit, isn't it? So the threats arising due to the data loss or the leakage can be mitigated by encrypting and protecting the integrity of the data in transmit. Then analyzing the data protection at both the design and runtime. Then implementing strong key generation, storage and management, isn't it? So contractually demanding provider to wipe persistent media before it is been released in a pool and contractually specifying the provider backup and retention strategies. So the countermeasures are given over here that implement the strong API access control, encrypt and protect the integrity when it transit, and analyze the data protection at design and runtime. So these are the countermeasures over here, isn't it? So any problem in data loss or leakage, and the previous point, that is shared technology issue. Any problem? Yes, if any problem is there, you can ask. Okay. Then coming to the next bit, that is account or service hijacking. So many times we used to say that my account is hacked, isn't it? So what is this exactly? So whichever login credentials you are using, that is getting stolen. So usually with stolen credential, some unauthorized access could be there with your data. So some other person is using your credential and playing with maybe your data. Okay. Then compromise the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So these are the ways by which your account could be hijacked. So what type of countermeasures are there? So prohibit the sharing of credentials between the users. So many of you are having the habit like maybe for your what is that? Your college network IDs also. Many of the users are sharing their passwords. So this should not be done. Why so? Because maybe you are sharing your password with your friend or with somebody, or if it is not properly secured and it is getting hacked, then at that time maybe that user may misuse that particular password. Misuse can also can happen over there. Then leverage strong multi-factor authentication and employ proactive monitoring. Multi-factor authentication is what? You should provide two-step or multi-step authentication over there. Then proactively monitoring methods should be introduced. You should change your password with proper time limits, like after 10 days, 15 days. As like in case of a banking, you are asked to change your password. Maybe in 3 months or after 1 month, these methods are introduced over there, and supported to that, your previous passwords are also being saved in the database. So if you are changing your password with the previous one, so that type of method should not be entertained. Like some of the banks are giving you the hints, like you should not use the previous 3 password. Every time you have to enter the new one, or at least you should not use the password which you have used for last, maybe in last 3 attempts, isn't it? So you should change the password of your maybe such kind of authentications methods in or periodically, we can say, so that this service or account hijacking will be prohibited. Okay, have you faced any such kind of account hijacking problem in your life or in your friend's life from the present users? Do you have such example with your friend? नो म्हटलं की काम झालं आहे का नाही? What was the ransomware attack? Have you heard that ransomware attack? So ransomware was also like, it was the type of malware from cryptovirology that threatens to publish the victim's personal data or perpetually block access to it unless a ransom is paid. While some simple ransomware may lock the system without damaging any files, more advanced malware uses a technique called as a cryptoviral extortion. It encrypts the victim's files, making them inaccessible, and demands a ransom payment to decrypt them. In a properly implemented cryptoviral extortion attack, recovering the files without the decryption key is an intractable problem and difficult to trace. The digital currencies such as PaySafeCard or Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are used for the ransoms, making tracing and prosecuting the perpetrators difficult. Okay, so these ransomware attacks are typically carried out using a Trojan disguised as a legitimate file that the user is tricked into downloading or opening when it arrives as an email attachment. However, one high-profile example, the WannaCry worm, traveled automatically between the computers without user interaction. So, if you go for checking the Wikipedia for ransomware attack, the details you can find over there. Then the mitigations or the remedials for them or the countermeasures for them is that if an attack is suspected or detected in its early stages, it takes some time for encryption to take place. Immediate removal of the malware, that is a relatively simple process before it has completed, would stop further damage to the data without salvaging any already lost. So the security experts have suggested precautionary measures for dealing with the ransomware. Using software or other security policies to block known payloads from launching will help to prevent the infection, but will not protect against all the attacks. So as such, having a proper backup solution is a critical component to defending against such kind of a ransomwares. So note that because many ransomware attacks will not only encrypt the victim's live machine, but it will also attempt to delete any hot backups stored locally or on the accessible over the network on a NAS. So it's also critical to maintain offline backups of data stored in the location inaccessible from any potentially infected computers, such as external storage drives or devices that do not have any access to any network, including the internet, prevents them from being accessed by the ransomware. So you might have heard this example before some years, like maybe in 15, 16 or so, that kind of ransomware attacks were introduced, which are hacking your machines. They are encrypting your files, so you will not be able to open your files, any of the file. And for decrypting the files, they are asking for some kind of a ransom. Ransom is what? Some kind of a amount. Okay, you pay like you pay some amount in lakhs or crores to get the decryption over there. So such kind of attacks were there, which are harmful for your confidential data, or this is one method that encrypting your file, but there may be some kind of a locking to your system also. I heard that wherever that attack was there, that machine was asking for some kind of a, means that machine is totally getting locked, and to open that it was asking for some amount. So these are the methods by which the hijacking or account hijacking or service hijacking may be there. So how to countermeasure this? Some methods are given over here. Coming to the next bit. Data protection in the cloud. So data must be secured while at transmit or in use or at rest. That means what? Whenever you are transferring the data from one particular user to another, or if it is in use, or nothing is been done with the data, it is just at rest. So at every time it should be secure. Client can employ the encryption for the transit. Client can encrypt the data for storage, that is at rest, but can also be CP's responsibilities by some key management to store this particular data. So cloud security overall is a identify management, that is your authentication methods, then the data loss prevention, web security, email security, encryption, business continuity, and network security. So cloud service clients and the adversaries are given here in the diagram. So here are the unauthorized users. So introducing some identity and access management, the network security methods introduced over here. So what type of securities for the clouds that are there, that are shown here in the diagram? So encryption, to store your data, some encryption decryption technique should be there. Then web security, intrusion management, security assessment, security information and event management, business continuity and disaster recovery, and the email security. So, and the data loss prevention techniques. So this is all about the cloud security itself. I think these two bits are remained from my side. Unknown risk profile and shared security model between the vendor and customer. Let me check at my desk for that. So till this point, do you have any problem? Any problem till this point, till this bit? So here is the video. What is the ransomware attack? What are the types and how the encryption Trojan differ? Okay, just we'll go through this.
You log onto your computer just like you do every day, only to see your screen locked and device unable to boot up. A message demanding money or bitcoins appears instead. It's the moment that every computer or mobile device user dreads. Ransomware. Ransomware is a form of malicious software or malware which restricts access to your computer or mobile device or encrypts data until you pay a ransom in exchange for accessing your device or data again. One typical example of ransomware is called Deadcryptor, which locks your devices and files until you're forced to pay a ransom. The payment that this malware demands is 2 bitcoins, which is more than $1,000. This form of cyber blackmail is one of the most dangerous forms of malware today, and one that's spreading rapidly worldwide. The number of users infected with ransomware keeps growing, along with continued increases in ransomware modifications, making it a constantly evolving threat. 2 forms of ransomware are currently the most widely used around the world: Locker and Crypto ransomware. Locker ransomware locks you out of basic computer functions, forcing you to pay a ransom to regain control. Crypto ransomware, on the other hand, encrypts sensitive data like documents and important files, threatening to destroy them unless you pay a fee. The 3 main ways ransomware can infect your computer is through spam, spear phishing, and watering hole attacks. Scareware tactics are also used to spread ransomware by creating fake software or messages purporting to be from a legitimate source, but actually demand that you pay a ransom to regain control of your computer. As dangerous as ransomware is, you're not helpless against it. It's important to know how to recognize how ransomware is spread, and the defensive measures you can take to stop it before it becomes a serious problem. Avoid phishing scams that spread ransomware by not opening any suspicious emails or links, and also avoid visiting any suspicious websites that may contain ransomware. Know how to recognize scareware tactics by cybercriminals too. Be sure to back up your computer or mobile device and always use up-to-date internet security software equipped with specific anti-ransomware technologies. Above all, never pay a ransom, as it only emboldens the cybercriminals behind these scams. Ransomware is a serious threat that can affect you and all computer and mobile device users. But by knowing how to avoid it and by using up-to-date security software, you can stay safe. Do your part by staying vigilant and investing in trusted security software today.
So just last 2 bits are remaining from this. That are nothing but the unknown risk profile and shared security model between vendor and customer in IAS, PS, and SAS. So what is unknown risk profile? That I will show here. I will share my screen with you. Just 1 minute.
I'm Tom Merritt for Tech Republic. Here are the top 5 cloud security risks. Before you can mount a defense, you need to know what you're defending against. And when your data is in the cloud, it gets more complex. A whole meteorology of cloud risk patterns to analyze. So we're here to help you focus. Here are the top 5 cloud security risks. Number 1, shared space. Yes, your data is supposed to be in its own container, but that virtual container sits on the same physical machine with many others. Good cloud services take steps to prevent other customers from accessing your container. Coming in at number 2, strong and pervasive encryption. Your data should be encrypted at rest and in transit, even when it's being accessed by the cloud service's own applications. Even more often overlooked is what steps cloud providers take when they dispose of your data. Up to number 3, secure transfer. All that encryption means nothing if you access it in an insecure way, say with an HTTP command. Make sure your data is always encrypted and authenticated with a standard protocol like IPsec. Sliding into number 4, what about the API? A weak software interface could let someone into all of your data, secured or not. Find out what the cloud provider does to lock down its API. At number 5, the users, the weak point in any security scheme, us humans. Find out as much as you can about the people who handle your data for the cloud provider and who at their company has what access. And train your own people as best you can not to get phished. Now you not only know what to be on the lookout for, but you can choose better cloud providers based on how they say they'll deal with these risks. Hey, there's more where that came from too. Check out our videos and articles at techrepublic.com. I'll see you there.
So I will add the points related to this from the available sources. I just forgot these 2 bits in the last night to include in the slide. But in the notes, I will add all those points. Just one more like resource for the last bit I found over here. That is nothing but the understanding the shared security responsibility with the cloud models over here. So I will share that also with you.
Welcome to this interactive guide. Assess and enhance your data protection controls with Compliance Manager. In this interactive guide, you'll see how Compliance Manager can help you perform ongoing risk assessments of your organization's Microsoft Cloud Services usage, gain actionable insights, and simplify compliance by streamlining processes to meet complex obligations, all from one place. To navigate this interactive guide, follow the prompts on the screen or use your forward and back arrows. Let's look at Compliance Manager from the point of view of a compliance officer at a fictional company called Contoso, who ensures company regulations and standards are adhered to. This is the Microsoft Service Trust Portal, which provides a variety of content, tools, and other resources about Microsoft security, privacy, and compliance practices. To get started, click or tap Launch Compliance Manager. Compliance Manager is a free but protected resource. To access it, you must sign in to your Microsoft Cloud Services account. From the Compliance Manager dashboard, you have a complete view of your organization's compliance posture. Each tile represents an assessment of a Microsoft Cloud service, measured against a certification standard or data protection regulation. In this example, some controls are implemented by Microsoft, while others are managed by Contoso. To help you stay organized, you can group risk assessments based on your organization's structure. Groups allow you to logically organize assessments and share common information and workflow tasks between any assessments in the same group. In this case, let's add an assessment group to prepare for an annual audit of the company's U.S. business group. Follow the prompts to see how. Enter a name for the group, and then click or tap Next. To save time, you can copy data from an existing group. Let's use the default group to copy information from the previous year's audit as a starting point. Click or tap Default Group. Next, select a product and certification to evaluate. In this case, let's evaluate Office 365 for HIPAA compliance. Then, click or tap Add to Dashboard. Scroll down to review the new assessment. You can see that there's now a tile for the assessment, along with a compliance score. The compliance score is calculated based on the risk level due to non-compliance or failure of the controls in the assessments. Once you implement and test all the controls in an assessment, you can get the full score and remediate the compliance risks. From here, you can take action to increase the compliance score and better protect data in the cloud. Each assessment covers a specific set of Microsoft services based on the control framework. These are listed in the In-Scope Cloud Services section. Follow the prompts to take a look. Click or tap the arrow to collapse the section. For each of its cloud services, Microsoft manages a set of internal controls to protect your data. Click or tap the arrow to expand the Microsoft Managed Controls section. The controls are organized into families. To see an example, let's review the security controls. On the left side of the screen, you can see each control's ID and title, the article number from the certification, or regulation the control maps to, and a description. You can also review the color-coded compliance score for the control, where yellow indicates a low-risk control and red a high-risk one. On the right, you can see the control's implementation status, the date it was tested, and the result. Click or tap More for additional information about a control. If any findings are recorded in the audit, those notes can be found under Management Response. Next, let's take a quick look at the Microsoft implementation details. Click or tap Read More. This pane provides the full implementation details regarding how Microsoft implements the control. Next, let's look at the customer-managed security controls. These are the controls managed by the user's organization. Follow the prompts to continue. let's review a control in the security control family. Compliance Manager identifies all related controls and articles so that they can be assessed at the same time. That means that you can take action once, and all assessments that have the control will see their scores improve. This control is used to implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to protect data. Let's read more about recommendations for implementing this control. Here, you're provided with the recommended actions, including the Microsoft solutions you can leverage to implement the control, as well as links to supporting documentation that offers step-by-step guidance. Click or tap the link to see an example. This page provides a series of relevant technical documentation to help you quickly find the information you need. For now, let's close the window and return to Compliance Manager. Next, let's see how you can assign the task of implementing this control to a colleague on the IT team. Scroll up to continue. In this case, let's assign the task to an IT administrator within the organization. Since this is a high-risk control that impacts several assessments, let's mark it as high priority. You can add notes if needed. To execute the request, click or tap Assign. Now, let's briefly switch to the point of view of the assigned IT administrator, who uses Compliance Manager to easily implement controls and help ensure organizational standards and regulations are met. Here's the email notification showing the action item that's been assigned. To view it, click or tap the button. Right from here, you can review all of your assigned action items. Scroll down to take a look. Later, after the control has been implemented, you can record the implementation details here. You can also upload documentation such as screenshots and SOPs as evidence of the control being implemented. In this case, follow the prompts to upload an SOP document. Next, change the status to indicate that this control has been implemented. Then, record the implementation date. Now, let's reassign the control back to the compliance officer so our work can be reviewed. Indicate the priority level for this action item. Add a quick note if you want, and then click or tap Assign. Finally, let's return to the point of view of the compliance officer, who reviews and tests controls that have been implemented. First, let's review the assigned action items. Click or tap More. For each control that's been implemented, you can submit a test plan and management response. Let's add one. After testing the control, you can record the test date. This assessment has passed, so let's indicate that as well. Now, follow the prompts to review all of the assessments. After implementing and testing just one control, several other controls are now marked as completed. Additionally, a couple of the assessments have increased compliance scores. You can take further actions on any of these assessments right from here. For instance, to prepare for the upcoming audit of the company's U.S. business group, let's export the data to an Excel spreadsheet. Follow the prompts to see how. You can now find all of the same insights Compliance Manager offers right in the workbook. Let's look at the Customer Managed sheet. The file also includes links to the supporting documentation your team has uploaded. With Compliance Manager, compliance officers have an end-to-end tool that simplifies the regulation to audit journey. You've just seen how Compliance Manager can help you perform ongoing risk assessments of your organization's Microsoft Cloud Services usage, gain actionable insights, and simplify compliance by streamlining processes to meet complex obligations, all from one place. For more information about Compliance Manager, contact your Microsoft representative or visit this online resource.
Okay. Some of the methods for compliance are given over here. So I think these 2 bits I will include again in the notes, and it's 11:20 now. So I think I should stop over here and we are done with this unit. The details of this I will definitely include. Just one last review. So here unknown risk profile and shared security model between the vendor and the customer. So these details, already unknown risk profile, what is that and how the countermeasures are in, means security measures are included in this. Those are covered here in the abuse and nefarious use and insecure interfaces also. So still I will add some bits for this if the question related to this bit will be asked. And then the vendors and the customers in IAS and PAS, SAS, the shared security model for this I also include for this bit also. Okay, so here we are ending with our 4th unit, overview of cloud security. So if you are having any kind of a doubt, you can ping me personally or you can ask the question here also. If you don't have any question, you can put the attendance in the chat and now you can leave. Thank you. Vaishnavi Puri, put your attendance and then you can leave.